Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm your host, Hilmarie Hutchison, and today I'm honored to be speaking with a guest whose life is a powerful testament to human resilience and determination, both mental and physical. Caroline Leon is an Australian-born transpersonal psychologist, mental health advocate, adventurer, and Guinness World Record holder. With 5 academic degrees, including in medical science, international health, and transpersonal psychology, Caroline has built a remarkable career rooted in knowledge and compassion. After surviving a devastating rock climbing accident in 2015, where she was told she might never walk again, Caroline defied the odds, undergoing 14 surgeries and 2 years of intense rehab. Not only did she walk again, but she went on to become the first woman in the world to solo summit all the mountains in the Middle East and the Arabian Peninsula. She's also the 7th woman globally to complete the Volcanic Seven Summits, holds a world speed record for it, and as of 23 May 2025, she has successfully reached the summit of Mount Everest. What an incredible journey. I cannot wait to hear more about it. Caroline, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So as I mentioned in the intro, you were born in Australia. Can you start out by sharing a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here in the UAE?
As you know, most Australians are really adventurous and we like to travel and see all parts of the world. Actually, I ended up here because I was traveling the world. So I had just graduated from university and my best friend and I were backpacking. We basically bought a flight to Singapore and we were going to do this big Asian odyssey. So we had plans to go Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, China. Then we went to Mongolia. We got a Trans-Siberian Express all the way across Russia and went to Syria and Turkey. And then we decided to come to the Middle East. And prior to that, I'd never been to the Middle East. So I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And at the time, we kind of ran out of money. And so we were both like, okay, we'll move to Dubai, we'll work for a year and then we'll keep traveling. And I've been here 15 years now.
Wow, what an incredible story. So you arrived in the UAE around about 2010.
Yes, a little earlier than that.
So then your story took a major turn in 2015 with a rock climbing accident, which I mentioned in the intro. What do you remember about that moment and how did that change your life?
I actually was completely awake when I had this accident. So I remember a lot, but obviously time dulls most things. But I have quite clear memories from the majority of the fall and then of being in hospital and the recovery. And a lot of it is very clear in my mind.
How that moment changed your life?
Oh, it changed my life completely. I didn't realize it at the time. But at the time, it was a very pivotal moment for me. I was just kind of, prior to that, just doing what everybody did, just ticking off the life list, getting married, ready to have kids, next up buying a house. So I was on track to kind of start ticking everything off. And then I had this big accident and then everything pivoted. It was almost like a 360-degree loop.
And this must have been really difficult on your family as well when you had this. Were you far away from your family?
I had a younger sister that lived in Dubai at the time, and the rest of my family were in Australia and in the States. And so when I had this accident, my family kind of rallied in, and my older sister came from the States to spend some time, and my mum came from Australia, and obviously my little sister moved into our house, and it was very tough on them too, for sure.
Yeah, this is not something you go through alone. You're going through the whole process with everyone around you, but amazing to have that support network that is willing to come and be with you during such a difficult time.
Look, it's a really big truth. You can never do something like this alone. You're just incapable. And I was really fortunate that I had beautiful people in my life, not just my family, but also my friends. They really rallied in and were coming to visit me every day and helping with everything that they possibly could. So I'm very grateful for that too.
I also mentioned in the intro about you facing 14 surgeries and the diagnosis or the possibility possibility of never walking again, and that is totally unimaginable. What was it like to get that kind of diagnosis, and what helped you to stay mentally and emotionally strong through it all?
So the diagnosis, it's almost like you get shot in the stomach. Like your whole world, your whole hope, perception, everything just collapses. And you kind of move into this very hopeless place where you don't see the future, you don't want to be in the future, you don't really want to live anymore, to be honest. It just, everything gets very dark because it's such a hard life to grapple with, the idea of like living in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, like never having kids, never being able to run again or to walk or to live a life that's free. It was very disheartening. And I'd always been someone who was very fit and healthy and was very adventurous. And so that idea of losing the one thing that I just absolutely needed in my life, which was like physical freedom, was very, very difficult. To be honest with you, I get asked this question a lot about mental resilience and what helped you stay strong. And I think, to be really honest, I don't think I was strong. I think I let myself feel whatever I needed to feel. And I went into that dark space, and I was pretty dark for a long time. And I think you have to be like, you have to go to the depths of that underworld and really just be there rather than running away from it. And at the time, trust me, I really did. Like, I tried to medicate my way, and I was in hospital. So I was receiving so much medication, so much like morphine buttons and like pain medication and some really strong sedatives. They just don't work. The pain never really goes away. And the knowledge that you're going to be disabled for the rest of your life never really leaves you either. So there just really isn't anywhere to go. And you're stuck to this bed. You can't get up, you can't sit up, you can't even turn over on your own. You're just laying there like a vegetable. You actually even can't sit up because my spine was broken. So I had no ability to sit up, and I couldn't move because obviously I was completely broken. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I think at the time I just let myself go completely into what it meant. And at the time there was a lot of grief, a lot of sadness. Like, my friends would come and I just started to really shut down. Like, I had a pillow over my head and the light started to get too bright. And so I couldn't actually talk to anybody anymore. And I had this pillow over my head that I would just leave there because the lights were so bright. And everyone who would come and visit me, they'd turn on the lights and I'd be like, oh, that hurts, like turn them off. So I just physically, emotionally, spiritually started to completely retreat out of the world. And I think now that I'm out of it, I can see that those things were really essential. Like, I had to go into the depth of darkness, because only then, when the stakes were so high, that it really gave me the gumption to get myself out of that. It's really easy when people have a broken toe or broken leg, or when they have you have these very minor issues. The stakes are low. So we're like, okay, I can live with this. It's just this. But for me, the stakes were so high. Like, I'm going to be disabled for the rest of my life. And the idea of that, like, when I sat with how messy it was, it kind of like, it was like a boiling pot. Like, I started brewing. And I brewed for so long until I was like, okay, I'm getting out of this. And I have no idea how, but I need to get out of this because I don't want to live this way. When I realized at some point, I have no idea where that was, that I actually had a choice, that I could get myself out of it, then I was like, okay, it's on.
Incredible. I appreciate your honesty. That it wasn't just, yes, I was mentally strong and I got out of it. It was really a difficult time. You had to go through the process. As you said, you couldn't run away from it. You had to give yourself that time to process it all internally before you came out of it and started being able to deal with it. So, having gone through it, what advice would you give to the support network of somebody who is going through something difficult, whether that's a mental difficulty or a physical difficulty? What advice would you, because I think from a support network, people want to help and they want to take away the pain, they want to solve, but that's maybe not the right approach. What advice would you give?
I can only speak for myself. and hope that that also reflects for others. But I think personally, the best thing that I had was really space, because people never really gave me any physical space. But I had a lot of time. For example, from the moment that I left hospital to when I actually started walking, that was a period of about a year. And so no one expected me to walk. So I had no ambition to walk. I had no pressure to get myself up. It was just a choice that I made that I was going to start to try. What I loved about that time, like I had about, after I left, so I spent 2 months in hospital. And then after that, I had about a year in a hospital bed at home. And that year, I had so much time to figure out what I was going to do. I guess my family, because they were just supporting me physically, they didn't like pressure me, like, Carrie, get up, or let's do this, or let's do that. I kind of let myself wallow in a lot of pity for a while. Then when I started to make the decision to start to move forward, I think no one in my family said no to me. So everyone was like, oh, you want to do this? Okay. So when I first got it in my head that I wanted to try, it was hydrotherapy. I wanted to get in a swimming pool because I wanted to try that. My family was like, okay, let's support you in doing that. And then when I wanted to do the next silly treatment, they were like, okay, let's do that. And eventually that turned into, do you know, I think I want to climb some mountains. And my family was like, what? And then they were like, okay, but no one stopped me. And so as ridiculous as that path sounded, it was the thing that was keeping me alive. Like I was alive because I had these little things that I wanted to try and do. And every time something made me feel alive, I just kept pursuing that. And I think for people who are going through a lot of mental distress, or they're going through some mental health problems or physical health problems, it's really such a big exploration of who you are as a person. It really brings you back to scratch. You have to figure out who you are. You have to figure out what you want in life. Everything gets thrown out. So who I was left, who I wanted to be, that idea, that dream, the ideal was gone. Everything was gone. And so I was starting from this really fresh canvas, obviously a very burnt emotional canvas. Like I was very fragile, but it was a very empty space. My friends and family kind of supported that exploration of, okay, like, what do I want to do with my life now? Now that I'm starting to walk, now that I'm like getting up, now that I'm moving. And when I was coming to these things that were really intuitive, like I intuitively wanted to go climb some mountains, and I was going to go climb all the mountains in the Middle East. No one really stopped me, and all my friends and family supported me. So I think that's probably one of the really like beautiful things that I had at the time that I didn't realize I needed. So I think for others who are supporting people or going through it themselves, the best thing that you can do is find out who you are again from scratch. Do something that makes you feel alive, and something that is coming from very deep within you. And then just follow that. And for those people who are supporting someone, it's just allow that person to follow their own path and to move at the beat of their own drum, and let them do that, because that is the only thing that is going to bring you back to life physically and emotionally, is just walking to the beat of your own drum and figuring out what that is and authentically doing it. Like I never climbed Everest because I wanted accolades or because I wanted to be a mountaineer. I was climbing because it was the only thing inside of me that felt right. And I knew that I needed to follow that. I needed to follow my own path to wherever it led me. I think that's really the only way.
If we are the support people for somebody who's going through some difficulty, not to put external pressure on them. Just be there for their journey and support them, whatever it is that they want to do. They got to figure it out for themselves. The support people are there, or your family's there to help you through. Take those small steps, whatever those small goals are that you set for yourself. But you can't have someone externally pushing you. It's got to come from within you. We've touched on it as well, that you then made a huge change, huge mindset shift. You didn't just return to normal life. You've set this new ambitious course for yourself. What was it that inspired you to take on solo mountaineering?
To be honest with you, at the time I had no ambition. I was a disabled girl. I had just learn to walk. I couldn't even walk properly. I was just doing the things that were making me feel alive. At the time, I was still on crutches and I was flying from the UAE to Australia every 6 months. And I was doing some really extensive rehab in Australia with some very, very good professionals that I knew that were helping me learn to walk again. When I was in Australia one time, I had a very good friend and he was like, do you want to go climb Mount Kosciuszko in Australia? And I looked at him and I was like, are you crazy? Like, can you not see the state that I'm in? Like, I can't even walk a block and you want me to climb a mountain? And he was like, come on, it's really easy. It's just a trek. It's nothing more. And I was like, fine, let's go. We went and we climbed this mountain, Mount Kosciuszko. It's the smallest mountain in the world. But I remember getting to the summit and I had not felt this alive ever. I had never felt this just free and beautiful and spirited, and like it just, life felt like it glistened. Perhaps it was because I just spent like the last 4 years of my life in a hospital bed and going in and out of hospital, and life is really grim. But when I got to the summit of that mountain, everything just felt like it made sense. Then when I came back to the UAE, I was like, I need to do that. I want to keep doing that. How do I keep doing that? And I was like, okay, well, I need to climb really small mountains. So I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to climb all the mountains in the Middle East because they're little. They're not actually so little, but they are comparatively little. So then I was just like, okay, I'm going to go to Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, the Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE, just everywhere. And I was going to go climb those mountains. So I did. I went alone to many of those countries and I got a guide. It was almost like I was going on this pilgrimage just for me. I wasn't listening to any podcasts or music. It was just me and the mountain. I found that trip was the most like spiritually rewarding trip that I ever went on because all my demons came out. I was climbing a mountain and my mind was like, what are you doing? Like, you are not good enough. Who do you think you are going to climb a mountain? Get down, get the donkey, come down. Like, this is ridiculous. I just had all this rubbish in my head, all these negative thoughts, all this like just trash. Everything that I thought was just trash. And it was so negative and so derogatory towards myself. And then, I would think these thoughts in a loop for about 10 hours. And then we got to the summit of the highest mountain in Iran and the highest mountain in the Middle East and the highest volcano in Asia, which is Mount Everest. And I remember getting to the top and crying my eyes out because I'd spent 10 hours just thinking about how terrible and how much of a shit person I was and how I couldn't do anything. And then I was like, but wait, I'm on the summit. And then I came down with those same thoughts. And then I went to the next mountain, which is in Turkey called Mount Ararat. And I was climbing with the same thoughts like, what are you doing? You're so stupid. You're dumb. You're disabled. Like, as a disabled person, how are you going to get to the summit of this mountain? Eventually, what started to happen is that the thoughts got quieter and quieter and quieter. And then, sometimes I would think them and sometimes I wouldn't. And then eventually I started climbing mountains and I was just empty. My mind was completely empty because all the trash that was in there had just like gone. It's like it had no space anymore to be there because I was just proving to myself that I could actually get to the top and I could get to the summit of Mount Ararat and Mount Damavand and all these other volcanoes. I could travel all across the Middle East alone by myself as a woman, as a disabled woman. So it wasn't an ambition. It was just like, it was a calling. I was just listening to my own heart and just following what made me feel alive. And now almost all the time I climb and my mind is quiet. And it's just really beautiful to be in an empty space where I just hear myself, not my thoughts in my mind, but just the beating of my own heart, the gut intuition that tells me that I can and that I can do this and that everything's going to be okay. Life is beautiful and that I am strong and that I am an abled woman.
I love it. Absolutely incredible that you needed that time again, using the physical exercise, the walking, the climbing, to give your mind the space then to, get rid of those negative thoughts and giving it time. It wasn't 10 minutes or 1 hour of meditation. You speak of 10 hours of going through the process. I love your honesty and how you describe your own journey through this needing to cleanse your mind of all the negative self-talk. And this is after you've already recovered. I mean, you still speak, you're not fully recovered, but after you've already gone through such a difficult period from a diagnosis of never walking again. Now you're walking. You've already accomplished so much, so incredible. And yet that negative self-talk was still there that you needed to get rid of. And you did that through these journeys and through the climbing the various mountains. I also like how you said you started with smallish mountains and it sort of built up your way up through that. Incredible.
To be honest with you, I feel like the physical healing took 4 years, but then the mental stuff took another 6 years. It took 6 years for my head to be aligned with my heart, but not in the sense of like, oh yeah, we're in alignment, not just like a saying, but an actual doing and a knowing and just being so aligned. It's something that I felt when I was on Everest. I just felt aligned. Like my heart wanted to be there, my will wanted to be there, and my mind believed in me. Like my own mind believed that I could be there. And I think that alignment is something that took another 6 years to kind of fix. And it's probably an alignment that I never even had before. So before my accident, I don't think I was ever that sure of myself. And then after, it's like when I feel something in my gut and I know that it's right for me, my whole system is like, okay, let's go. Let's do it.
So you've had an advantage in a way that most people never get, is that the chance to get your mind, your body, everything into alignment. I think many people don't ever get that feeling of true alignment in themselves. And through your journey, you have given yourself the space and the time to get to that position. I know that you are a strong advocate for mental health, and having gone through the experiences that you've gone through, you are a really good person to be an advocate for this. How do you integrate this mission into your expeditions and also into your public speaking?
The first thing is probably like just being honest about it. I know that a lot of people think that I'm very resilient now, and perhaps now I am, but at the beginning I really wasn't. And it's funny because I feel like in society, we want to go from X to Y, but we don't want to actually traverse the actual nitty-gritty and the darkness that can be in between those two spaces. I think honesty is the first one about, this didn't take me a day. This took me 10 years, literally 10 years to do. And it didn't come from a place of ambition. Like I never wanted to climb Everest at the beginning. I just wanted to come alive again. I just wanted to find out who I was. I think being really honest with people about that process, it's like, it's going to get shit. It really is. It's going to be really awful and really dark. And as soon as you're in shit and you feel awful and you feel dark, great. That's where everything begins. And perhaps as a society, we want to never feel pain. We want to run away from the dark places inside of us because they're so scary. But to me, I feel like had I never gone to that space, I would never be here now, ever. There's no way that I could slingshot from the bottom of the earth to the top of the earth without just being so awfully uncomfortable at the bottom of the earth, not being able to walk, being disabled, being disfigured, because at the very beginning I was very disfigured, and being in a hospital bed and never leaving the bed, never seeing the light, never getting out of the bed, going from that space, which I like to call the bottom of the earth, to literally standing on top of Everest. That process takes such a long time. It's nothing that we click our fingers and think happy thoughts and we're here, or like an hour of meditation does it. It's a grind. It's sometimes awful. It's sometimes uncomfortable. It's so many of the awful things that I feel society doesn't really acknowledge and we like to run away from as quickly as possible. But to me, I think the more time you can spend in those those spaces and those places, the more real growth you have. When things get really hard, you just have the resilience to do it because you've been there. Everest is never going to be as hard as getting myself to stand up for the very first time, or crawling on my hands and knees because my feet weren't strong enough to take the weight of my body yet, or what it's like to have someone you love change your nappies because you are in nappies and you're a grown woman. Everest was never going to be that hard. But when I got to Everest, it all seemed palpable because, I changed my own nappies. I crawled on the floor. I learned to walk. I did all of that stuff. And I think that's really what resilience is about. It's the ability to be in the shitty places and just to breathe and know that we can't get out of them. We just have to experience it and let the experience change us internally. And that is really mental health. Mental health is not running away from those dark places, is just being able to be there and obviously have support enough around us to know okay, this is temporary. I feel so shit right now. This is going to go away at some point, but just not right now. And I need to learn to be able to sit with those uncomfortable feelings. Obviously, not doing anything that we can't step back from, but just being able to be there and then just go, okay, this is this moment in time now. And one of the things that I've really discovered is that everything is so transitory, moments, feelings, thoughts, situations. It's something that I learned really deeply, is that when you are at the bottom of the earth and when your life is so shit, you got to keep your head up because it will change. Life is never stationary. And when everything is going amazingly, put your head down because, again, everything is transitory. Nothing stays the same. And I feel like we got to learn to be really humble when things are going great for us, and to be kind to others, and to really see the world with the eyes of I'm in this place right now. This is transitory. And soon I'm going to be in another spot, and soon in another spot, and in another spot. And when I get to the bottom of the earth again, I got to just learn to breathe, hold space for it, and know that this is transitory. Keep my head up. Things are going to change. Maybe not right now, but one day.
Absolutely beautiful insights that nothing lasts forever. I also loved how you said to be humble when things are going well, treat people well, but also when things are not going well, remember that this is not going to last. You can come out of this again. So things are going almost in cycles. And so sometimes they're going to be difficult and sometimes they're going to be great.
Yeah, completely. Things are definitely, nothing stays the same. And I'm sure everybody has had that experience in their life where, sometimes.
Absolutely. I also liked how you said that in our culture today, we are looking for easy solutions, immediate gratification and satisfaction. But when you go through these kinds of difficult things, you need to be patient, be willing to go through the process, be willing to go through the darkness and the pain to get to a point of breakthrough. I think you said you can't just slingshot from the one to the other. You have to take those small steps to get from the one situation into the other. So I think those are really good insights for all of us, whether we're in a really good place right now, whether we're in a dark, difficult place. We need to just keep taking those steps to get back to being in alignment with ourselves.
Yeah, nicely put.
Lovely. Well, what is next for you? I know you've got still 2 summits left to complete the 7 summits. You've completed Everest and you've got the 2 summits to go. What is next for you?
Probably in my climbing career, probably to finish those. I really just being on Everest made me enchanted with the 8,000 meter world. And so I think I probably am going to continue climbing, really. It's something that has set my soul alive. And I love being in the mountains. I love what it teaches me. I can spend 2 months in a tent living on dehydrated food with no showers and no internet. And then, come back to Dubai and stand under this shower and just appreciate it. I love what it does to my eyes when I'm in these 2 polarities. Makes me grateful and non-complacent. And so I think I'm just going to keep doing all of the things that make me feel alive. And I think that's probably One of the things that I've learned really on this path is just the only thing you can do in life is to be authentic. Not to do it for other people, but to just do it for yourself, because you deserve to live a life that is authentic to you and makes you feel alive and makes you happy. And now that I've found what that is for me, I'm going to keep walking that path until one day I wake up and it doesn't feel like it's right anymore. And then I'll probably pivot and do something else.
I love that. To be your authentic self, do things not for others, but for yourself. Again, to find that alignment for yourself. I love that. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I will ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
You have set a world speed record for the Volcanic Seven Summits. Which summit pushed you the most physically and or mentally?
I think probably it was Mount Sidley, Antarctica. Not because it was particularly high, but just because it was so foreign. It was freezing cold. It was like I was in Antarctica. Like the terrain was really something that I wasn't used to. So probably Antarctica for sure.
One word that describes you on summit day.
I just keep walking. That's probably a few words, but I just keep walking. And I think that's like if anyone who wants to climb a mountain or get through life, like just keep going. That's it.
Just take the next step.
Yeah, exactly.
Your go-to mantra when facing fear.
Oh, I face fear all the time. Really, I just start talking to myself. So it's almost like a second person steps out and is looking at what I'm doing. And I'm just like, breathe, Caroline, just breathe, like take a step, put your foot here, hold onto the rope really tightly, just check your harness, like everything's okay, just calm down. And I just start breathing and I listen to so I almost start, I step out of myself and I start talking myself through the fear. And then honestly, it goes away in like a few minutes. In a few minutes, I'm in a completely different state and the fear is gone.
The favorite mountain you've climbed so far?
Oh, definitely Sidley in Antarctica, but also Everest too. Everest was amazing.
Do you carry a favorite treat on your walks?
I always have chocolate.
No, you mentioned earlier that people use resilience to describe you. What does resilience mean to you?
Like I said before, just being able to be in the really shitty parts of life and just to breathe through them, not to medicate, not to alcohol your way out of it, not to like run, but just to sit, just to cry, just to be uncomfortable, to like just be in the really crappy moments of life.
What is one thing that you do every day, no matter how busy you get?
I have a dog who I love. I really like taking her for a walk. It's kind of our thing. So no matter how busy I get or no matter what happens, her and I have our like early 6 a.m. ritual and we have our 7 p.m. ritual.
Thank you for playing along. That was easy enough. Now I would like to ask you our signature green pill question.
Yes.
What was your green pill moment? The action or the event that was the turning point for you or for your career?
Oh, definitely having my accident was just such a green pill moment. It just woke me up. Yeah, I was probably really stubborn that I needed a really big wake up, a really harsh green pill.
But it changed the course of your life.
Yeah.
Caroline, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your journey with us and the highs and the lows of it. I really appreciate your honesty and your authenticity in describing the darkness, the difficult steps you took, but also the really good breakthroughs that you had. Your journey from a life-threatening fall to standing on the roof of the world is a powerful reminder that the human spirit knows no limits. You've not only redefined what's possible, but you've also inspired all of us to do the same. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Before we wrap up, where can our listeners follow your journey or connect with you online?
Yeah, so I think the easiest place is probably Instagram and YouTube. So on Instagram, my handle is Caroline and then .d for Danielle and then .Leon. And then on YouTube, it's Caroline Leon is my handle. So on Instagram, it's just everyday stuff and all my mountain stories. And on YouTube, generally, after I've come back from a mountain, I just put all my videos together and just show people what it's like to climb Kilimanjaro or show people what it's like to climb Everest. I try, unfortunately, sometimes the mountains get so precarious that it's really hard to take photos and videos, but I try as much as possible to take as much content, I can show people these beautiful places.
Fantastic. And we'll also put links to all of this in the show notes. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Matrix Green Pill podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us to grow. Until next time, keep dreaming big and conquering your own mountains.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.